Hello, my name is Simon Adams of Moonstar Board Games. In this series, I like to talk about games which I really like or even love and explain why. Now, let's be clear, these are not how to play these games. These are not in-depth instructionals as to how to pick this game up out of the box and immediately start to play. These are just high-level thoughts and views as to why I like a game, which I hope will encourage you to go and have a look at the game yourself and perhaps support an independent publisher by buying the game for yourself. So today we are going to look at Etherfields. Etherfields is currently set up, so I don't have the box on with me right now. My friend Ethan and I have been playing through Etherfields for the past like three no since January, since my birthday. We play maybe one or two dreams a month. We don't do the slumbers. We got rid of the slumbers per the second version rules. So I got the Kickstarter I got the Kickstarter. It's by Awaken Realms, the game, and I can't remember who are the designers. Look it up, but they they had two-way shipping. You could either get it split into two, or you could wait and get the whole thing in one. So you got if you split it into two, you got the base game, and then you got all the Kickstarter and extra campaigns, etc. Like years later. I always waited and got them at the same time, which meant I got the second batch of these games after the game had been quite rightfully criticized for a number of its more grindy, um, unfun mechanics. And before I get into a very uh, glowing account of Ethan and I's current and continuing multi-month, almost 10-month exploration of this game, I do want to say some things that I do want to get off my chest, some of the issues with the game. The board is atrocious. Whoever came up with that board, I do not understand what they were thinking. We play it with the cards just on the table. That's how we play it. It allows us to put the cards where we want them to be. And so we play it similarly to how you would play the Seventh Continent, which I spoke about this week. We just have the cards on the table and we go through. The second major complaint I have about the game is there's too many mechanics. They threw everything into this game. There's so much going on now for us that when we pick the game back up, which I'm sure we will, maybe even next week, maybe even this week, I actually kind of want to kick on with it. We're maybe 18 or 19 dreams in, scenarios in. Um, when we always pick it up, we really quickly figure out the core rules, right? The rules of the game are really simple, but then there's so much layered on top. There's so many other things that we have to consider that are quite frankly superfluous to what we want from the game, which is to explore and understand what is going on. So, similarly to not similarly, but there's comparisons to be made between Etherfields and the Seventh Continent or Tainted Grail. In Etherfields, you are playing someone who is essentially I'm not going to spoil anything here. Don't worry. But to your understanding, when you start the game, you are asleep and you are going through a kind of another sleep realm in which you are going from dream to dream to dream, and you're going to different areas of a map in order to do different dreams. And each dream is its own contained little game. So this is how it differs from Tainted Grail or Seventh Continent. In those games, they have one overarching continuous game in which you're constantly putting cards out. With Ether Fields, for every different dream, you are putting out new cards that represent this dream, and each of the dreams are enormously different, and they are honestly all so far so far for us, they have all been great. And every time we finish one of these dreams, Ethan and I will go outside and we'll have a cigarette and we'll be like, we just wish all these other mechanics weren't there so we could focus on enjoying these dreams, because they are so, so good. They're so good. They're so good that we are still really excited to play the game, even despite our very minor grievances with the rules overhead and um, the the space of opportunity that we have in how we play through a particular scenario. I've talked about it before. Like, the game comes with triangles and these like triangle tokens, and on these triangle tokens there is portions of art. And if you find these portions of art in the game outside of these triangles, then you can now read the correlating story book entry to that piece of art. But again, it's just something else that we have to do. We're like, I don't want to be looking for. I don't want to be playing an I Spy game while I'm trying to understand why my character is in this situation. And the issue with the tiles, especially, is that they are actually a gatekeeper to information about why your character is in the game. Right? So if you want to know why your character is in the game, you want to have your character specific storyline unfurl, then you need to be looking at these things, but they're superfluous to what we really want from the game, which is to explore these little scenarios, to engage in these little puzzles, and have very, very poignant moments in some of these scenarios. I'll be frank, again, I'm not going to spoil anything about the story of the game, but there are some really, really emotionally charged and poignant moments in this game. It's not to say that it's a very adult game. There's no like nudity or violence, quote unquote, per se. Um, there's nothing I would say that is potentially triggering, although that changes from one person to the next. Instead, and so what I'm saying is not that these are graphic moments. They are really emotionally challenging moments. And there's one particular dream that comes to my mind, but again, I don't want to talk about it, because man, like we were playing it and we were like, as the dream was unfurling and we were finding out more about this little scenario, we started to really feel the weight of this particular scenario. Now, not all scenarios are like that. Some scenarios are pure little puzzlers, right? How to cubes in, cubes out is one of them. They're all little puzzles, but they all try to tell a story about the nature of humanity. And I know that sounds probably really pretentious and really lofty and hoity-toity, but I think the designers did such a wonderful job of making these little narratives, these little dreams, not simply be uh, an efficiency puzzle for myself and for Ethan and our characters to work through, um, but they actually tell a very powerful and interesting and intriguing story at the same time. It's important to note it will be a while after you start playing Etherfields that you'll start to learn about why you are in this dream world. But it does start to come, okay? It will come. You will start to figure out what you're doing, not just why this dream world exists, but in fact why your particular character is there too. Ethan is playing the gambler. I am playing the specialist. I believe the name of that character is. Um, you will start to uncover it, but it is a bit of a slow burn. And I would encourage you to follow the designer's rules that just ignore the slumbers, ignore them. In fact, we are now at a point where we don't even go on the world map. We're just going from dream to dream. We got rid of the keys and all that. Like what we want is these little scenarios. And I feel like that might be an ongoing or reoccurring uh, pers- perspective from me in this series, that you'll find that I'm happy to cut out rules which get in the way of me enjoying the game, especially in adventure games. And again, I'll always say it, like that's my view, whether it's of a game I'm playing, of someone else's, or if you're playing one of Moonstar Board Games games. If there's a rule which gets in the way of you having fun the way that you want to have fun, make the change. Okay? Make the change and get to what you really enjoy. With Etherfields, Ethan and I mean, there's not really, I don't think, a better way to describe just how much we like this game than to say we've been playing it since January, and it's still set up and we are still playing it every other week. We have so many other games to play, but we are getting through it, and I am really, really excited to get to the end of it. I have the other two campaigns, the Harpy campaign and the campaign that's after it. Um, Similar to Tainted Grail, the minis are great. The production is a little lacking in places, to be honest. They have really nice tokens, but you don't get enough of them. But the minis are really nice. The art is spectacular. The art is spectacular. The scenarios and the interest and intrigue and the the poignancy of some of the scenarios, as well as the humor of other scenarios, is just spectacular. And if you can play Etherfields, I would really, really encourage you to pick it up and give it a shot. 1 to 2 player only. I wouldn't play it with any more than 2 players. Downtime. Um, it's well, again, a lot of the game is you're in a scenario and you're trying. It's basically a efficiency puzzle, and oftentimes the more chefs you have in the kitchen, the harder the recipe can be to make. Um, Games are not oftentimes balanced great, especially not these kinds of games are not really balanced well for 3 to 4. Plus, it's a campaign game, so the fewer people you have in it, the less impact you'll have from people leaving the game or coming in and out of the game, which you can't really do. You can't. I don't think you could bring someone new into the game and give them a new character and have them get leveled up if you've been playing for like 30, 35 hours. I think we've been playing at this point, Ethan and I. But as I say, there's not really more of a testament that I can give that than that we have been playing this game for the better part of 10 months, and we are still continuing to and will continue until we complete it. And then, truth be told, after that, the box will probably go in the underneath my couch with the other games that I don't want to see for a few years until I then play the next campaigns. But so far, it has really, really been amazing. Anyway, this is Simon Adams of Moonstar Board Games, talking way too long about games I like.